Welcome back, everyone, to the North American LCS. It may not be a tri-cast, but joining me for this series, the caster is so nice, I count him twice. It's Aiden, Zyrene, Moon. How you doing?
Moon. I'm gonna screw things up.
All right, it's going to be a fun one, of course. It wouldn't be a Phoenix 1 series without the Challenger casters bringing it in. Phoenix 1 taking on Echo Fox. Now, for Phoenix 1, even though it's been a very rough 0-6 start for them, it feels like this team might actually be reborn here with some roster moves. A new jungler, new support could pay off this week.
Yeah, week 3 was huge for them. P1, you know, people are getting more and more excited about this team after the acquisitions. Xpecial has enabled Arrow to once again start carrying from the bottom lane, started playing things like Braum and Tahm Kench to keep him safe. But the big one was Mike Young in the jungle. This guy had an incredible debut, and he's a rookie. It was really blowing my mind how he started having stats that are first for junglers immediately right out of the gate, and he played against CLG and Dignitas, who are up near the top of the standings with a combined record of 10-3. And also, these actually kind of changed the whole look for Phoenix 1. Coming into this week, in weeks 1 and 2, they were actually the 10th place team at gold difference at 15 minutes, averaging down 1,800 gold. But then in week 3, with him up against 2 of the top teams, they averaged up 1.5K gold at 15 minutes, which was highest in the league. So complete 180.
And that was with them still losing the matches, so his early games are absolutely on point. Okay, so we talked about Phoenix 1. Let's talk about Echo Fox here, because their fans are going to hope that they can start transitioning some of their perennial early gold lanes into actual match wins themselves, because they are the reigning early game champions of the team.
Exactly. This is going to be really interesting, because both these teams had that early game power. Echo Fox have lost 6 games, but 4 of those games, they had over 4,000 plus gold leads in them. And you can see that they average up in their losses 1.3K gold at 20 minutes. So those are great advantages that, you know, it's great that they're getting them, but transitioning those and being able to close games out still plagues Echo Fox a little bit. So they're accruing those gold leads, but the biggest issue has been that mid lane priority in the mid game when they're contesting neutral objectives. That's what you have to keep your eye on here, is can they actually keep control of the center of the map?
Well, despite Phoenix 1's recent changes, Acadian believes that Echo Fox just needs to focus on their own game plan to win today.
Preparing for any team, really, you just need to focus on the way that you play as a team. In terms of P1, they look sort of weak. I mean, they put in some like random solo queue player that is like a noodly one trick and he did pretty well, but I mean, I'm not really too worried about it. I think we look at our own gameplay and we look at the way we play the game, and it should never be about as long as you have good enough individual players, it should never be about, hey, this team, you know, is really good at, you know, X, Y, and Z, and we need to change our strategy to beat that. I think it's more just if you play the game better than the other team, you play your game better than the other team, you'll come out with the win.
I still think it's important to know what the other player is going to do, because now I have heard Mike Young be called a Nidalee and a Lee Sin one trick.
He's a two-trick pony.
Oh, well, you look at his solo queue, he's actually just really good at a lot of champions. So I feel like you can't underestimate him despite being a rookie. Acadian has been in that position where he was a rookie, and now we are seeing him grow a little bit and care about teamwork as opposed to individual performance. But there are individuals you have to watch out for when you're playing against them.
Okay, so we'll see what happens here in this match. Let's get ourselves to the starting lineups for both of these sides. And on the blue side in game 1 is going to be Echo Fox. Looper up in the top lane. Acadian, just heard from him in the jungle. Froggen in mid. Keith in the bot lane alongside support Gate with Coach in Arrow.
And that means on the red side for game 1 will be Phoenix 1. Fans are hoping that this is the rebirth for them. With Zig in the top lane, Mike Young in the jungle, Ryu in mid, Arrow in AD carry, and Xpecial support with Coach Fly.
It's only their second match with these as their 5 starters. It's Mike Young's third match. It's Xpecial's second here on Phoenix 1. And again, their stats had looked pretty good, even though they did lose to some very highly placed teams in North America last week. We'll see if this can rise for them.
Yeah, ended up taking both Dignitas and Counterlogic Gaming to 3 games apiece. Yeah. So they played really long series and had gold advantages in a lot of those games. So that's hopeful for Phoenix 1, because at the beginning of the split, it just looked very tragic. People were questioning what happened to that team that placed third, because they hadn't really changed anything and they had more time to synergize with Shady. But it looks like this is the roster they're going with for today, and it seems like the one that they are most hopeful in.
So we'll see what comes through into this one. If Echo Fox shape up their late game shot calling, if they can play their game as Acadian put it, or Phoenix 1 can learn to get some of that weight off their shoulders. One of the things we heard recently when their owner was asked about adding Mike Young, adding Xpecial, is you know, giving Arrow a bit more room to breathe. I've heard him talking about the fact that he kind of put more emphasis on himself to carry some underperforming teammates, and now with maybe a slightly better situation to be in, it's going to work out a bit better for him, and everyone can be the role players they need to be. 4 bans in so far. Zach and Kennen off the table, banned by Phoenix 1. Pretty typical red side bans. And another blue side Cassidy ban This is one thing we saw before as well, as Echo Fox loves to ban Cassidy and blue side and then grab Lucian in the second round of the first phase.
Yeah, try to make sure that they have something that they can counter with or have something that's uncounterable. Interesting though, the Rek'Sai is jumping up there as one of those champions. You can see actually a smile on Froggen's face there because he knows he's getting LeBlanc.
He's getting LeBlanc, and so few teams allow him to get this champion. He is happy and he thinks he can take this game into his own hands. It's going to be a fun one to watch for Ryu, who had been underperforming somewhat early in this split. Can certainly have some comeback games soon. Galio, highly prized as well, known as a flex top mid and support. And actually, we've started seeing him more in the mid lane as of this patch than anywhere else. So if you're going to play the odds, it's Ryu playing it.
Yeah, it's a little harder to counter in the mid lane. You have to kind of go for that mid lane Fiora, which not a lot of people are practiced on, who he was the one who did it. And you can kind of chase it around the map, but if he's playing into LeBlanc, then you'll know what that matchup is already, as the Jhin comes through as well for Arrow.
I do like Jhin a lot. We were having a discussion briefly backstage where is it because of the buffs, or have people kind of learned the right item build on him? I think it's a mix of both. Certainly the buffs were meaningful. They added several win rate to him, compensating for the fact that Deathfire Touch got nerfed so much it's not really viable on him anymore. That lost him a lot of his damage, and so his Q and his ult do more damage in all cases now, and feels pretty good.
Yeah, and I think he's actually quite powerful. Yomu's Ghostblade first item into crit afterwards, so that he has a really smooth power curve of one of those great early game items into having late game. And then when you have all those crits coming out, we saw Cody Sun in the previous match have a fantastic performance on it. So we'll see what Arrow's able to do on a champion that we know he is very well versed in.
Oh, absolutely the case here. And meanwhile, Keith has some protection for himself. Shen grabbed up on the table here for Echo Fox. Acadian bringing out the Lee Sin. They weren't so afraid of Mike Young to ban away Nidalee, so maybe he'll get his one trick in this game. And oh, he will! Acadian the Soothsayer! Maybe. 5 seconds to go. I think at this point they lock it in, and they are. All right, so Lee Sin and Nidalee on the table. Fun junglers to watch, absolutely. Echo Fox waiting on their entire bot lane. Phoenix One waiting for a mid-top flex and a support, although Galio still is a flex there a little bit, so it's the most flexible of drafts you can really have for your Phoenix One.
Yeah, and talking about the Nidalee for a second here, when I talked to some people who had played against Mike Young last week, they talked about how he was always picked into winning jungle matchups because they could have picked him Lee Sin very early on, instead opted for the Jhin, etc. But they've also given him bottom lane leashes in all of their games. They have constantly gone and had Xpecial and Arrow start the buff with him, not Raptor Camp, start the buff with him so he doesn't have a jungle that you can really counter and invade on. So they've kept Mike pretty safe in the draft and the beginning of the game.
And to be honest, I'm going to go ahead and take a little leap and say it's probably intentional. Look, he's a rookie, he's coming in, he's just getting acclimated to pro play. Pros are better at invading than in solo queue, generally speaking, and so you give him something a little bit more comfortable and let him get a bit more room. And to be fair, it has worked, as you've been mentioning before. Phoenix One has had great early game stats so far, and we'll see if that continues against, once again, the kings of early game. Echo Fox are the best team overall statistically in that first 15 minutes. Their problem has been converting it into more. Second phase of bans are done. Top laners off the table from Echo Fox. Even though Zig has been the only Galio player on the team, they're actually banning away top laners. They think it's going somewhere else.
It's interesting seeing that they think that that would end up there, because Zig can play things like the Kled into the Shen, which is still a pretty decent matchup. Yep, there it is right there.
All right, so Kled is the grab after all. Even though they've got some of the bruiser top laners away, he gets his tried and true, his most played champion, Kled in the top lane.
Yeah, funny thing about this for Zig is Zig was just such a dominant Kled back in spring, but I feel like Kled started to become more and more meta, so people got more practice against this champion and against very good Kleds in the top of solo queue, so it ended up being a champion that didn't have the same surprise factor as before.
Absolutely the case. Xayah and Rakan locked into the bot lane, though Rakan really has risen up in popularity as a support, and in the duo, of course, it's even more powerful. Xayah did take some nerfs in patch 7.12. You can't go for the instant Q auto pullback for the instant root, and she lost some cooldown. She got a longer cooldown, I should say, to be more specific, on her W, her attack steroids. So overall, slightly weaker champion, a little bit less reliable crowd control. Obviously, still something Keith wants to play, and Braum will be the final pickup, who is great into Xayah as a matchup to block the feathers.
Exactly, blocks the feathers from passing through, even on the ultimate. But I gotta say, for Keith, this composition right now looks really safe for him. He has the Shen to ulti for him. They're going to have 1-3-1 split push pressure, which I think is Echo Fox's best way of playing around the fact that they don't control mid very well. And also, Keith previously had bought things like Phantom Dancer, Death's Dance on the Xayah, has the ultimate. Now he has multiple forms of protection. It'll be very hard to go with a kill Keith strategy.
Yeah.
as Phoenix 1.
And the nice thing about playing Xayah into this enemy composition of Phoenix 1 is all the things you want to dive, or you want to dodge, are actually dodgeable by the ultimate. Like a Kennen, you land and you still get stunned by slicing Maelstrom, but a Galio ultimate, a Braum ultimate, things like this are actually dodgeable. It's a one hit and quit. And if you hit the ult, you become untargetable, you're not going to get stunned out. So does fit the lineup pretty well. The only difficulty, again, being the Braum shield does block the Feather pass-through. As we get ourselves through the end of Champ Select, the coaches go to shake hands. I want to give a quick follow-up on Inero saying he would fist bump me backstage. I missed him last Sunday. I told him I'd see him on Friday. Hopefully after the series, I'll head down and hit fist bump Inero. I owe it to him.
He looks a little bit like Justin Timberlake.
He does, actually.
Yeah, throwing that out there.
There you go. I agree. And hopefully he can say bye-bye-bye to Phoenix 1 in this series. His Echo Fox hope to get themselves just what they want here, a win, and to get back to the positive side of the standings. Phoenix 1, they're hoping this will be the rebirth, and they get their first match win of the split. Lineup's just now on your screen. The crowd ready to go. And remember, if Phoenix 1 wins, everyone in the studio gets a fidget spinner. Shout out to that. Game 1 underway.
Sell out. What are you doing? No caster bias here.
Nah, I don't care who wins. I've already got my Phoenix 1 fidget spinner. They handed those out last week, regardless of the wins. It's all about this match here, Game 1. And again, I can't say it enough. I really do. Like, we had the story meeting after our matches last week, when we heard about all the players coming in. And I was like, I actually really want to believe in Phoenix 1 right now. I think this team has gotten so much better, right? They took some teams that were tied for first place to 3 games. They had gold lead against them. Phoenix 1, I think, can really be a legitimate playoff team at this point now. And just in time as well. We're here in week 3. In 3 weeks' time, they're going to be playing in Berlin for Rift Rivals right now. And if Phoenix 1 can shape up in these next 3 weeks, represent North America, get some wins in the win column, make it off to the playoff run, they can even go to Worlds off of championship points and whatnot.
Exactly. Even if they make it into 7th or 8th place, they'll still maintain their championship points and have the ability to go through the gauntlet. But I feel like that's pretty far removed, because right now Phoenix 1 still have that opportunity to climb back up the standings. And they showed that they have it in them last week. They just need to convert some wins. But that's the same story for Echo Fox. Echo Fox, since the inception of this team, have not made playoffs. So they've missed out 3 splits in a row. This is their 4th split as an organization here in the LCS. And fans are waiting for them to just show up. Last split, it was like, hey, early game leads, First Blood King, let's go. This split, early game leads. Now they're trying to push that even further, but there's so many teams in the running right now, and you can't let Phoenix 1 take a win off you if you have playoff hopes and let them surge back up.
Yeah, that's going to hurt you a lot here, because you're running out of the first round robin pretty quickly. Nice heavy leash of Echo Fox, and wow, that is a significant leash for the Acadian. Lee Sin is not the easiest Raptor taker, but with that much of a leash from Zion, Rakan shouldn't be too bad for him. Going to kill the last of the small Raptors, get level 2, and continue on his merry way. Mike Young, though, heavy leash from his bot lane on the buff, just like in the previous series. And he's going to be on a very similar train right now.
Yeah, make sure that he's off to a good start. No real counter that can come through to that. And he ends up quite powerful and accelerating his jungle clear. But the fact that Echo Fox gave such a hard leash to Acadian, they missed out on 3 creeps of experience.
Oh, gosh.
They missed out on a lot here.
Keith has no XP from the melee waves. That's actually terrible. That is so much lost out right there. I'm not sure what caused him to lose that much time, but again, if it's a bet that says if Acadian can get a gank off, you succeed, but it hurts their bot lane so much.
And it was one of the differences here. Okay,
and he's on a ward.
I wasn't sure if he was trying to go for the blue buff or what was going on there, but regardless, the bottom lane's going to hit level 2, and they're going to push up very heavily. And this is one of the reasons that people stopped starting buffs in professional play and started doing Raptors. Great, it's a great camp in the first place, but oh wait, actually, Acadian's trying to invade here level 3 because he has an EXP Quinn.
Too slow.
Yeah.
It's already too late. Mike Young got the first camp. Acadian will not find a rev up because wait a second, that's gone. He sees the Raptors over there. Mike Young does the same thing. Quick trinket ward to run away. Watch out for the cube, and he's still got things to path block. And that one Secret Service Raptor may have saved his life. Acadian may have pulled the Q across. Look for the dive onto the turret.
So what Acadian did is he's actually running an experience quint, which allows him to do 2 camps, Raptors Red, and then Scuttle Crab, and then that gets him level 3 instead of having to do 3 camps. And then he goes for the invade afterwards, trying to exploit Mike Young, who, of course, got a leash on his bottom side that was very heavy. They had to kind of account for that because we knew about it. So Acadian trying to punish the rookie with a more aggressive route.
That's not happening right now. Ooh, unlucky for him. The little Krug's lead, so Mike Young's actually a little faster in this play right now. And Nidalee, by the way, so good at killing Krugs. They have negative magic resist and positive armor. So Lee Sin kind of hates it, Nidalee loves it, and waiting for what's not likely to be a tower dive, but could be a chunk of damage down to this bot side. Ooh, that's a really good chunk of the mid lane right there, and it might be Ryu's first recall now at this one. We can see the farm lead +8 right now for Froggen.
It'll be even more, too. He's got some to pick up. And it'll be a TP back as well from Ryu, I would assume.
You know what's great? One of our stats guys, Tom Searcross, Optimus Tom, is trying to put together a stat, which is CSD minus Danes. It's for mid laners, because everyone who's not Danish has negative CSD at 10. Everyone loses lane to Froggen, Jensen, and Bjergsen. So he's like, you know, it's only fair if we remove them from the pool and then once again recheck the other 7. So Rita's holding up to the average. The Danes win the mid lane.
Yeah, it's actually overwhelmingly true. Those stats are pretty bonkers. I can't wait to see when they're completely developed, presented. But yeah, Froggen, you know, has a centerpiece for his team as well. Like, I feel like everybody who has a Dane on their team in the mid lane kind of plays around their Dane to some extent, whether it's Bjergsen, even Jensen gets a lot of jungle proximity, gets later game farm, etc. And they're fantastic players in the first place.
They absolutely are, and oftentimes they are worthy of that emphasis. And we'll see if EchoFox can find more of that worthy damage right here in the mid lane. More chunks coming out from Froggen, and Ryu on his first recall was unable to get any magic resist. He went Corrupting Potion and a Doran's Ring. I imagine he'd love to have a Banshee Tail and a Null Magic Mantle in there, but not going to happen just yet. We check back in the bot lane. It is that small lead for Phoenix 1. Again, this is EchoFox who had missed the first 3 melee minions of the wave in the first place and are treading water otherwise, so seem to do pretty well despite the fact that they gave up some priority to help Acadian. Even though Acadian's dive didn't work or his gank didn't work, they're okay in the bot lane.
Yeah. Finish off that old previous point. It was just the fact that you start Raptors because your mid laner's going to leash, post a lane. Don't want your bottom lane to come up and waste time. Goes back to the whole Zyra standing in lane, setting up plants, etc. You want to be able to push out and get level 2 first. EchoFox put on the back foot, but they only missed out on 4 so far. So they're in a good spot.
Looking okay on this one. Mid lane now being pushed in a bit more by Ryu, who's got significantly more mana even for himself. Of course, we know both these mid laners use teleport to get back to the lane, so some time to go. EchoFox 10th early on a small gold lead. Again, that is pretty much all Froggen's doing. That mid lane lead getting better and better over time. Ryu, unfortunately for him, still having a rougher split than before. We'll see if Mike Young can make that turn around with some mid lane ganks later on, although it's very hard to gank a LeBlanc.
Yeah, Mike Young actually has some pretty good top and mid jungle proximity. He hangs around those lanes a little more than the previous junglers for Phoenix 1. Putting attention on those areas, whereas Inori was very bot focused. Meteos would hang around the mid a little bit, but the top lane and the mid lane for Mike Young seem to be where he hangs out. Zig actually gets a lot of attention for a change.
Yeah. He's going to move on towards the standard attack damage build. I believe Black Cleaver doesn't build from 2 long swords, so early T-Mat to start, and we'll go on from there. Wait to go, yeah. And that top lane sort of counter pick. Of course, he did pull several bans. Looper blind picked the Shen, Siga Galio. They threw in 2 fighter bans. Still got to go to his trademark Kled. Otherwise, he's been trading water in that matchup, so the counter pick has not yet really paid off. And now that we do have a level 6 Shen, you've got to see if EchoFox make a play with that.
Yeah, well, also the Kled is kind of synergistic with the team, right? Jarvan got banned away after the Galio was picked up. Renekton, 2 things that can dive in and then get heroes entranced. Whereas this is kind of the next one in the list where you ulti in, you joust into the middle of the fight, you get heroes entranced as the Kled. Because otherwise, Phoenix 1 would really lack some hard engage tools. You'd have some pick, but not so much something that dedicates or really starts a fight on somebody.
Absolutely the case. You're right. You do want a facilitator for the Galio.
That's a great point.
That's why we see so much.
Yeah, that's the word.
Back in the day, in like season 2, season 3, we said dive buddies for like who are the 2 melees going into the back lane. But first of all, into the back lane are going to be in the mid lane right there. He's gone. Doesn't even need the back half of the queue. Acadian kicks to take all the credit for Froggen's hard work. First blood EchoFox.
Acadian again with a first blood here. The guy so far has been fantastic in his games and picking up first blood. He's actually got one of the highest rates in the entire league for getting in summer. He's
been good. We watched it again. Yeah, Froggen. Ryu's already at half, and again, no MR in his build.
Yeah, and Froggen jumps in, has been landing those chains. Even though Ryu snap casted the W, doesn't get much damage just on the back end, and then it's a second chain there from Froggen with the Mimic, and then Acadian is just right there, taking all the credit, like you said.
Yeah, QRQ, it helps ensure the kill. You don't want to kick him away. You want to make sure your skill shots landed first, but either way, it's a 600 gold lead now to EchoFox, who say, even with Mike Young, we are the early game kings.
Yeah, so far, Acadian has played 10 games. This is his 10th one, and he has now gotten first blood in 7 of them.
Yeah, he's pretty good at doing that.
Yes, so 70% first blood participation for himself. Definitely topping the charts right now. Even against Dignitas, who ended up going on to win that series, he still had great early games against Shrimp and Someday, who were teaming up and creating a really big combo against him. We're seeing, coming off of losses, Acadian hasn't always handled them well, but if he's playing for the team, well, see that shift in him.
Yeah, shout out to, if you haven't watched it, Drive Acadian.
You're all about those sellouts today.
I am a sellout here for this one, but yeah, it was a really good feature. It's only 7 minutes long, and it's about his growth as the player. A lot of great quotes from the team owner, Rick Fox, talking about what it means to be a rookie, and you know, there's a great line because it's basically, if you believe fans when they say you're the best, you have to believe them when they say you're the worst, and you've got to realize that, you know, where you really are, somewhere in the middle there, and it's all about the improvement day over day and making sure you're playing for the team. It's definitely the story of Acadian, the story of Echo Fox right now, even though you've got the individual all-stars like Froggen, former world champions like Looper.
Yeah, it's the difference between intrinsically motivated and extrinsically motivated. You're extrinsically motivated, you're motivated by things outside like rewards,
Sure.
praise. Intrinsically motivated is you feeling like you want to do a good job, etc. So,
I'm intrinsically motivated to cast with you, Zyrene, my homie.
glad you're not extrinsically motivated. I got nothing for you.
You bribed me for it. We are into this game, though, and it has been a bit of a slow one. That first blood in the mid lane, but we're 10 minutes in here, and it looks like Drake control is on the mines. Mike Young kills off a control ward. Phoenix One put a few around as well, and Froggen hugging the left-hand side, but suddenly there's a champion, and look at the damage outputting special. Just blows him up where he stands. Acadian jumped on by 3 of the members, 4v1. One last snipe on a Froggen kills him in wave.
Yeah, and that Infernal Drake, they definitely want to pick that up early. And Jhin with Infernal Drake, pretty disgusting. We were seeing Cody-san with 500 AD in the mid-game last match, and that would have given him a BF sword worth of AD. So Arrow's going to start off with that, and that's going to be great for the Jhin.
Really good start here to Phoenix One, getting that comeback kill in the Drake, certainly worth more than 300 gold in value. We watch that kill in the mid lane again.
Yeah, Ryu ends up
The trap season, he's
going off on the other side, and yeah, exactly. They kind of pivoted there, jumped on him, and got the full CC chain there with Arrow from really far away with the Deadly Flourish.
Really nicely done, good calls, and they were all there for the setup onto that one. We watched some fights in the mid. Now the top lane as Zig is chunking back and forth. It's very interesting. I think you've brought it up before, talking with Zig about Kled matchups, because dismounting and remounting onto Skarl is actually a regeneration mechanic. You get more health back, so there's matchups where you actually want to dismount on purpose, like over trade, if you know you can build the courage back up, because it'll actually heal you, and you win trades doing that. Zig constantly toying with the chance of death. More chunks down for Froggen, out goes Ryu.
Yeah, Ryu has the teleport and may teleport back into the lane, but yeah, like you were saying in that top side, over trading is sometimes good, but you definitely want your W up. Your W is a huge part of how you remount, and if you're up against a champion like Shen that could potentially get a taunt pass through and maybe kill you in time, then it's a big problem, but you want to have that dismount, wait a long time, and you kind of like go into a period where you don't want to trade at all after over trading.
Right.
Wait for that cooldown.
You can see that the lanes have swapped back. Both these teams putting their duos top side right now. Of course, Drake off the table. Maybe Rift Herald is on the menu. Both these players have their teleports, so let's get away from the global objective and make sure the ones who can't run around the map are near the thing we want to fight for now that the Drake is gone.
Yeah, exactly right. Rift Herald is the objective they would play for, and mid lane Ryu comes back, does have the Banshee's Veil, or at least the Spectre's Cowl now.
That's going to be building towards Abyssal Mask.
Yes,
because the new Banshee's Veil doesn't build from that anymore, so very tanky build, which is to be expected, of course.
Yeah, and he also has a Ruby Crystal already, though, so...
Yeah, Abyssal Mask more and more likely here.
It, yeah.
See what it ends up being at the end of the day. Could be Visage, who knows exactly. Froggen now hugging the bottom side of the lane, which is correct. Of course, the Nidalee's above him, so always staying away from the jungle as much as you can. Again, the 42 minion lead for Froggen. He is blasting this mid lane, but he's really the only part of the team that's winning right now, as everyone else down in farm or XP or something else right now into this one. Leaper temporarily a level up onto this Kled, but Zig ties it up right there.
Yeah, I want to talk about that small difference in the mid lane between the itemization. The Abyssal Mask would be for Mike Young to deal more damage because he's really the only other magic damage dealer on the team. Whereas if he went Spirit Visage, it would be for the heals from Mike Young and also a little bit of the heal from the Bond of Stone or the Stoneborn Pack now. So it's just kind of whichever one you want more of in that mid lane. So we'll see, because it's actually quite interesting which one you'll go for.
What we want to watch for. Of course, Abyssal Mask does help you as well. Yep. So certainly it'll help the Galio with some self-synergy. And we'll see what the choices end up being. Froggen just keeping the minion clear going. And, I mean, he's got great farm numbers. The Gunblade is done. He's back in lane now. That was his second TP use, similar for Ryu. And you can see the damage output there. The Gunblade slow pretty much guarantees the chains land. And life is pain. He's got auto attack damage, so it's easy last hit.
And one of the things that you definitely should keep track of as well with a player like Froggen is not only does he have great CSD, which means he's harassing his opponent or like beating them in matchups or has good matchups, he also keeps his CS per minute very high, which means that he is just CSing well, regardless of the situation, regardless of the pressure on him, etc. So I definitely think that Froggen and the Danes in general, like you're saying, are good players.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's not just the fact that he's bullying very heavily, which you see that he is, but he's also just picking up farm constantly and is good at just the basics of the game in CSing.
Froggen very much a complete package in the laning phase, and it's been one of the strengths of Echo Fox, both Froggen and the laning phase, but we'll have to see if they can still get more out of this one. Still a very close one in the mid, and we'll wait to see as more comes out of this. They move up over to the LeBlanc player in the mid lane. They first picked it for him. He was happy he got to play the champion. We've seen the payout in the laning phase, just nothing yet in the mid game. We'll see eventually a split push will come through later on. Double TP for both these teams. You'd expect that split push to come in eventually.
Yeah, it was actually one of the happiest I've ever seen Froggen. When
I got LeBlanc!
Yeah, I just saw him for a quick second on the player cam. He just looked ecstatic that they had left LeBlanc up. Well, I'll see what he's able to do with it here. So far, he's been doing great in lane. Transitioning that, like you said, the 1-3-1 will typically come in and help Echo Fox with some of their mid-game issues. But Mike Young supposedly helping Phoenix 1 with their mid and early game issues. Gonna go for a gank.
He doesn't get anything for it. He walks in to be visible, kind of gives away his location. Of course, he did walk by a ward anyway. I said maybe Caden's coming around. He put a couple defensive wards down and then doesn't see too much. You see Froggen, yeah, averaging insane farm numbers. Triple his average. Pretty good League of Legends player, some might say.
First, though, in CSD at 15. Just across the league. And Echo Fox right now are sitting at a 500 rating right now. They're 3-3.
Yeah.
Oh. But they have had those immense gold leads. So it's crazy that this team is sitting at 5th place when their record in their early gold leads against all teams would indicate that they are quite good. We're seeing right here.
Finally getting some moments. Zig dives forward, finds a Gallia for some damage reduction. None of the LeBlanc passive going to go for damage, though. And Echo Fox have all recalled. They're looking to play for this Infernal Drake spawning in 28 seconds. Super able to withstand some pressure as well. And hey, a Froggen roam gets ult out of Ryu. And Froggen will be back in the mid lane first.
Yeah, it actually burns 2 ultimates there from Zig and Ryu. So an Infernal Drake fight would be a little bit better for Echo Fox here. Yeah, put your bottom lane on the bottom side, put your globals on the top. Looper has 2, so P1 get control.
And the fact that neither team is trading, the fact that they're both putting their resources on the same side of the map means they both think that they are on equal footing, that yes, we can both play for a Drake. Instead of saying, oh, we're the losing team, you get Drake, we get Herald, we'll trade you first turret for it. It's both these teams trying to stack up the long-term objectives. And I think we're likely to see a fight, whether in Vision or an actual champion combat, to make this happen right now. 400, 500 gold lead for Echo Fox. And we'll see as Froggen, Gate, and Keith all group up through the mid lane.
Yeah.
And if they push the mid lane in, that means they have learned mid priority.
I feel like they would have mid priority here, but it is against the Galio who can take it back quite easily with Winds of War. Well, right now, if you're Phoenix 1, you're pretty happy with going for a fight because of the fact that you have some good purchases, like the Infinity Edge versus like the Essence Reaver if you can get the crit with Jhin. You have Black Cleaver on your top laner completed. It is just that mid lane, though. Ryu kind of wants to back spend like the 1,200 gold plus that he has before something happens.
We'll see if it comes through. Yeah, Ryu. Oh, let's see if he can make that come in. He does have TP available. Top end still waiting the wings as well. Big chunk comes in for Froggen. Look at the damage up in there. A bit late as Hashem, but he's staying in melee range for it. Lands the taunt. The other skill shots not going to land just yet. Mike Young getting away underneath the turret. Looper still a bit tanky, but he was the first to leave the lane. Zig still getting free time to push in the top side. So now, under the gun, Echo Fox. Will they answer back to the top lane? And the answer is yes. Looper going to run his way back over there, but Zig, in the meantime, getting free attacks. In fact, this might mean first turret. Arrow just re-engage towards there. Going to flash away to stay alive. A little bit of chunks coming through back and forth. Staying afloat on this one. Looper just going for the recall. So yes, first turret comes through to Phoenix 1. The play did in fact backfire. They're forcing flashes. Those are some momentary advantages for Echo Fox, but if there's nothing to come out afterwards, it's being first turret for nothing.
Yeah, Zig is going to continue to push the top side of the map. Looper just backed, got himself his Titanic Hydra, so he does have an item completion here. Not incredibly tanky, though, if you were to come into this fight. And I think the Phoenix 1 might look to start it up right here. LeBlanc backing. Froggen's got like 2,000 gold to spend.
I think it's good if they can get Zig to walk over because they can force Summoner Teleport out of Looper. He's far away from this side of the map. Here it is.
Yeah, that's TP from both, I believe.
Here they come across. Gate wants in, lands the knock up on a 2. Will there be a team fight? Fled dives to the front line. Exhaust in the front as well. Huge knock comes through from Special on Brahmin. Gate forced to run, staying alive. Finally dropped down by Ryu. 1 for 0 to Phoenix 1. Can they get any more out of this one? Zig in the front line. That's to dismount. Mike Young far away on the wings. Looper running away now. Looking for a slow. Keith now in the front looking for a few more attacks to come in. Tight back, the flash forward. Keith running out of health, and he dives in, and he dives for free. Keith gives it away, and a second one as well as Looper falls. 3 for nothing, and here comes the Kurt caught. It might be just that. The slow lands, the kill is in. A double kill there for the marksman as Arrow finally gets some signs of life and gets some signs of death for Echo Fox. Not going to jump over the wall. Not going to find a steal on this one just yet. And it's going to be double Infernal Drake to Phoenix 1 plus a 2,500 gold lead.
Huge as well. That Jin with 2 Infernal Drakes is going to be massive. 2-0 and 3 for Arrow after that fight. And look at this Froggen. Actually, it's hard for him to find anything in this fight. He blast cones over as Mike Young goes the other way. So Froggen is now desperately trying to get on Mike Young on the top side of the fight. And he is most of the gold for Echo Fox now in terms of advantage. So Mike Young is kind of just dragging him around, and Echo Fox wastes a lot of their time on their mid laner there. Whereas the main fight, oh, Keith didn't get a great pullback on the Blade Collar, and P1 were really just holding their own there with Special using a great Glacial Fissure, and Looper jumped in as well, trying to go for a taunt flash, but not quite.
It might have been they thought there was a route to be had, and he might have went for the Q auto E or something. I'm not sure what, but now a rush barrel 20 minutes into this one.
This is how you
down
get
a lot of gold,
in.
but there's not the enemy team just yet. Blue trinket used. They know it's coming in.
They're not going to kill
the
it.
Wings.
Froggen's looking for a pick here off on the side.
Yeah, maybe finding Mike Young, but yeah, there's no way it's going to go down. Good.
Oh, he's found Arrow.
Phoenix 1, can he kill him though is the thing. Here comes Shen, here comes Galio. Globals from across the map, and in he comes for the hero's entrance. Captain Flowers would be pleased as Arrow runs away for this one, and Froggen gonna drop. And the second kill gonna come through as well. Looper gonna lose his life. There's no way about it.
Zig?
Just gonna take a few more seconds. Zig will trade back, but a double kill in for Mike Young, the de facto rookie of the split.
Well, we talked about how Arrow was getting more protection from his team with the Braum, but throw in a Galio on top of it, and he's looking golden there. Had the LeBlanc jump on him. It was the highest CS in the game, and Froggen wasn't able to take him down.
Wasn't able to do it. The tank stats were there. Well done to Phoenix 1, thwarting the Baron attempt and thwarting the dive afterwards, and now it's the back foot for Echo Fox, hoping to make a comeback here in this.
Yeah, that was a desperation play to try and get at least a pick or look for something in terms of the Baron, but weren't able to get either of them.
Yeah.
Actually get the play reversed on them here. And Arrow walks up where Froggen is, throws a trap in, sees him, and now starts playing for it. The knockup comes through, hits Froggen, doesn't hit Looper. Looper taunts through, and then Ryu actually gets a Justice Punch onto Froggen, followed by a taunt, Shield of Duran, immediately afterwards. So Froggen got locked up there by the knockup again from the Justice Punch, and then the taunt afterwards, so he couldn't deal much damage to Arrow in that fight.
Just Zig holding off the other 3. He did lose his life for it, but worth it when you win the team fight, of course. 4,000 gold lead now. Phoenix 1 hoping to clear off the minion waves. Looks like it's actually going to be... I can't tell if he's going Titanic Hydra into a death stance or something, or if he's going Ravenous Hydra and going further. Zig, I'm speaking about, by the way.
Yeah.
Has components of both, and I'm not sure which one he wants more. I'm guessing Titanic into Lifesteal, but who knows just yet.
I'm unsure either.
Otherwise, it's Ravenous into, like, a Visage, which actually is not terrible either, so...
Yeah, but I also feel like Gargoyle Stoneblade is such a good item on Kled, because you can pop it right before you dismount, and it gives you way more time to actually remount.
Absolutely the case, but we'll see what comes through into this one. Lupus finished his first damage at him. Titanic Hydra. Pretty much mandatory on Shen to get wave clear, with Sunfire Cape receiving pretty big nerf in the mid-season. We don't see that item much anymore.
Yeah, you almost never see it at all. People are going for, like, Iceborne Gauntlet if they're a mage, or one of those mage top laners, like Galio or Gragas. Yeah. But yeah, you can see Phoenix 1 just grabbing a hold of this game with a 4,000 gold lead and 2 Infernal Drakes. It's going to be a third one coming up, too. That'll be huge as well. And I also noticed that Arrow did not go for the Yomu's Ghostblade, went straight for the Infinity Edge and the crit build here. So.
Yeah, it's better overall damage if you don't care about some of the early damage. Theoretically, you get more crit online sooner. I do like the Yomu's build myself. There is a time and place for this, though. It's all just kind of number crunching and target selection regardless.
Yeah, and the Yomu's Ghostblade is a decent amount of it is for mobility, too, for the active. But when you have a gigantic Galio jumping in to give you damage reduction, and you also have the Braum jumping in front of you and giving you some as well, then it may not be as big of a deal, because they're going to get on you with the LeBlanc. Just the question of can you survive or not. So I can understand why he's going for more damage immediately, or overall, like you said.
Burst definitely can be its own great item because, of course, your fourth shot from your auto attack passives as well as from your ultimate will respect crit damage. And because you get free crits, it's really nice in some of the cases. And then we're going to move on to look at some more of these choices here into this game. It's going to be, gate rushing for a Talisman of Ascension in this one. Also, the new updated locket coming through for a special, which scales off of bonus health purchases. Generally speaking, it's going to be weaker on a tank support.
Yep, unless you get Stone Plate.
I forget the exact numbers, but basically it's going to be weaker until it gets more items into this one. Almost all cases.
Yeah, it's kind of the change was to push people away from just buying a locket redemption and not having more stats behind it. But people really value the shield in general, even if it's weaker as a second item. But then it gets better as the game progresses, like you said. It's kind of like redemption as well. Lower in terms of the overall base value, but it takes triple healing and shielding values or bonuses.
Right, absolutely the case. Well, we'll see what happens in the top lane now as Froggen looks for some more split pushing duty. Echo Fox really feels like they need the 1-3-1 to make this game work because they're not getting much else.
I don't know if you're getting through Rio, though. He's got Frozen Heart. He's also got the Abyssal Mask for the MR. And he also has 8 stacks on his Dark Seal. And AP, a little AP goes a long way with Galio.
It really does. He's got some nice scaling from that one, but so far, he is the one making progress. Actually, it's Rio getting the push lead in that top lane.
Yeah, Drake. It's time for that third Drake for Phoenix 1 to set up for.
Triple Infernal. Feels great, man, for Phoenix 1.
It's 25 minutes in. There's only one turret down, and it's Phoenix 1 taking that top lane turret, which was a solo mission from Zig. This is kind of playing for these Infernal Drakes. Everybody's just setting up.
And it was because Echo Fox wanted the Infernal Drake.
Yeah.
Infernal Drake is everything for Phoenix 1. Praise your lucky stars. Praise RNG. Phoenix 1 hoping they can keep the scaling going. Another turret goes down, and Zig playing the split push game well, farming quite nicely. You can see the value of a fighter staying in the side lanes, getting turret damage down.
Yeah, you want to get your backs off now, though. Like, you see the TP coming in from Froggen after the Void Staff, etc. And down bottom, we're going to see a TP from Ryu.
On Zig, TP from Ryu into the bot lane. Ult coming in for Arrow, doing a lot of damage to the back line as well. Doesn't finally land the last chunk, but here comes Zig looking for the dive. Ryu on top as well, gets one knock up, but team is staying alive so far. The flash to get to the back line. The Rit's going to land. Keith almost out of life, and he is going to fall down. Zig gets the kill credit onto that one, but it was a team effort to be sure. The team still forced to run away. One final shot to come through, an Arrow on a killing spree. The Q comes across. Looper and Keith both gone into that one, and Phoenix 1 going to win yet another team fight.
Yeah, that was a fight that started off with Keith getting rooted, and then the rest of the team has to kind of run back. And he's their front line now as Froggen tries to kind of threaten from the side, and it didn't really work out there for Echo Fox. Froggen is trying to leverage positioning, but he doesn't have enough of an advantage to really blow up anybody in the back line. Or the front line here, for that matter.
And not really. No one is falling down right here. Froggen's only kill participation in this game was the assist on the mid lane, and he did all the hard work. He deserved that kill into Ryu, but has not been able to do much else than farm the rest of this game. You contrast that with Zig, who had an equal laning phase, has farmed almost equally, and is in a better spot.
There you go. You got your answer to that question in the top lane. It will be the Titanic Hydra. Walks back into that.
Good damage output. Knockup not going to land. Death Dance will be next up for Zig, based on the fact that the Vamp Scepter in that pickaxe. That or Scimitar, though I doubt Scimitar very heavily. And out they go for now. But yeah, Zig, again, to bring up that point, has gotten 2 turret kills as a result of his split pushing, and it's just working much better.
Yeah, like I said, he'll get that solo turret gold as well. Yeah, Froggen jumps into Zig, split pushing, puts pressure on Gate, who runs away. And they kind of leave Keith, who then gets caught up there on the re-entrance.
Nice flash taunt by Ryu.
Yep. Ryu with the hero's entrance into the flash taunt afterwards, and now they just pick up Looper after the fact. And yeah, but Froggen's pretty much like trying to skirt these team fights, but they're happening a little bit too fast before he can get some kind of jump in, chip damage, and jump back out, but it's like not working for him right now. And he doesn't have enough split push against Ryu or even Zig at this point, I would say, to really pressure them down. They just have so much gold.
Yeah, they're really big. Level 16 right there on the top laner. Zig out-leveling Froggen, even though the Void Staff is prepared and ready on this LeBlanc. Not been able to get much out of it. Slowly but surely, Phoenix 1 out team fighting, and they've not been pressured in the split push game at all here in this one. Phoenix 1 now back in the mid lane looking for their third outer turret to kill. Froggen did a decent job of defending it, and then Keith took over that duty later on. Wait to see what comes next into this one. 1,094 damage, says Arrow secures it.
Yeah, as he has 2 items that are really effective against that. And then the last one, we're not doing too much, but hold on, looking for a pick on Ryu. He's going to be hard to take down.
Big shield to buy some time, going to land for a bit more as special. Q's going to get dodged, and out they go. ulti out from Acadian, nothing else really lost by Phoenix 1.
And they just get to go back to mid, pushing it in, trying to get mid priority. Ziggle try to bully the jungle here as well and get himself his red buff. Ah, Looper got it.
Red over to Looper, helping with the fight. Meanwhile, a battle in the mid lane. Wave clear back and forth, and it's still Phoenix 1 looking to make the plays happen. Looper now pushed out. Rebel will give him some regens. We'll be back in action soon enough as he pushes towards Deadman's plate. Ooh.
Ryu used his taunt, so he won't have it. And then back up, seeing that Froggen's off on the side. So yeah, Froggen looking for that flank, the collapse. He could push top lane and potentially get that turret, but he's just too worried about this mid one going down right now.
Yeah, right now it's all about defense. Phoenix 1, though, still slow and steady. Are winning this race right now. That mid lane likely to fall pretty soon. It's one wave away from dropping. Arrow's got plenty of damage. We'll see if he saves the crit for a little bit of action. Not hitting the minions. The turret's going to fall, and one more shot. Minions doing a little bit of work, and it burns down. Did not see local gold go over. Special was the closest one, and that was still plus 100 for him. So a loss of 350, but the gain of the outer turret still nice. This gold lead, 7,000 for Phoenix 1.
Yeah, it's not always about the gold at this point in the game for the turret. It's more about the fact that it's down, you get to put your ward lines up and have that pressure. All right, Froggen wants this one top.
That turret's low. He's got it. It goes down. Local gold over to him as well, so that's a nice little chunk.
And you can see that the Void Staff second item is helping him out against Ryu, allowing him to at least chunk him out and deal some damage against that beefy tank.
We'll just farm it up. 199 farm on him. True to Nidalee style. Get all the gold. Level up to 16. Doing nicely for himself. Is a decent threat. Has the Void Staff and the Rod of Ages, so a pretty decent team fighting build to have some durability. See what else can come through. But Phoenix 1 really just kind of snowballing off of a couple of team fights in a row, and Echo Fox have really yet to challenge them.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for Echo Fox to really kill anybody on Phoenix 1 as well. The more I'm looking at it, the Locket coming through from Xpecial, it's not that powerful, but even if Froggen wants to get a kill, he's got to go through a QSS of Arrow, which will give him MR, Xpecial giving him a shield, the damage reduction from Ryu, and Ryu also buying a lot of tank stats for himself. Then there's also the Zhonya's Hourglass and then the Death Dance. So it's going to be very difficult to actually kill members of Phoenix 1 here as Echo Fox.
Absolutely agree. We'll see if it can come through. Froggen wants to jump the wall. Does get away. Special look for the slow, and they just keep trading wave clear back and forth and back and forth. 5 control wards in the inventory of Phoenix 1, and it all dots the right side of the screen down there. Ready to play for the next objective, which is likely to be this Baron Nashor. Now that Cloud Drake's up in the field, they've got nothing else to play for on the bottom side. No one likes those. For the top lane, Froggen wants to kite away from Ryu, but still chunked on half HP, and not a lot of targets to lifesteal off of right now. He's looking for the flank, though. Maybe it's here in the mid lane. Keith at half HP.
Setting up for Baron here for Phoenix 1. There they go, they started up. Zig now in the mid lane, just kind of holding off. They do see it though. Scrying orb that's killed. The far side orb is killed very quickly.
The next attempt. Here's the dive forward. They get the knockup, but nice. QSS flash. Arrow gets away from it. Now here comes the engage. Not gonna have much of a root, but a big chunk of damage out from the Galio. On the front line they go, and they picked off one. A rampage from Mike Young. He picks off Looper. The chase continues. They look for one more in the back line, but no kill to be had. Just the one for 0. Looper never the chance to flash out or pop his ult for a shield on someone else. Looper having a pretty bad game. 0-4-0 into this one. Once again, back to Baron Nashor. Phoenix 1 goes, this time without a Shen to stop them.
Yep. 9,000 HP on it. Acadian looking for a steal. He's over the wall. They don't see him. He'll check it.
They make this play happen. Acadian does have Smite, a root on a special. Good damage. Gate, nice. Double taunt in, and Keith is gone right away. Arrow gets the crit. The rampage is in a trade kill. Those Special loses his life. And Baron heals back up. Froggen kiting away from Arrow, but he's got to be careful. The chase might have still been on. And back they go. He's going to clear off a minion wave. Still 4 versus 3 on the map. Only missing a special. You still say this seems likely to work out well, but Looper is alive in 5 seconds with his ultimate available. Can Acadian make it in? There's no vision in the pit. He's got to pass the Q at some point.
Yeah.
Now he's going to make the guess. He has flash.
Don't know if they have any wards left. Gate would have to jump in, maybe give him some vision. Here comes TP. They're taking a lot of Baron damage here.
He got it! He got it! Acadian gets the steal, but Galio going to find the slam. They're going to likely get a kill, but first Mike Young drops off the face of the map. Looper flashes off the wall to stay alive a little bit longer. The respawn's going to come through for Echo Fox. This brought the game a bit closer. Only a 4,000 difference and a Baron Nashor onto, I believe, 4 or 5 of them. What did they need except that Baron steal? Acadian coming through in the clutch.
Yeah, now they have to deal with a 1-3-1 that has Baron buff up in both of the side laners as well. So that's going to be huge here. Acadian, let's see that one more time.
They should stop damage when it hits the fucking Q.
They do start here to stop damage, but they go very slowly. But the TP comes through, and that's the pressure. And they stop. Gate goes in, but they try to burst it. There's a 785 crit in there from Arrow's Jhin. He crit, and it got it in range because they tried to burst it and time it with that smite.
But Mike Young's smite was late, and Acadians came in just after the Jhin auto attack. And sometimes you just guessed wrong, and it was well played by Acadian. They went for the burst even though the decent Q was on, and they got outplayed, and now you got to fight in the bottom lane. The root's going to be on there, and now Zig forced to run. Skarl's a coward, but Zig's going to die as Kled. Looks like Skarl lives to fight another day. Bot lane turret's going to fall as well, and suddenly the ability to win the game might just be here as the turrets are falling all across the map. Suddenly all three outers are gone, and the gold within 600.
Froggen's going to have that split push going. Like I said, this is big for Echo Fox. This composition can utilize a Baron like no other.
See if they can get a little bit more out of this one. They are still down that triple Infernal Drake. The team fight power likely to reside with Phoenix 1 continually throughout this game. But it gets a little bit closer now. Only 1,000 apart. I guess I misspoke earlier when I said it was 600. But looking for a little bit more here as this turret's going to fall really quickly. And Echo Fox gets closer and closer to this game. Tied in gold down the Drakes, but up that Baron buff, looking for more.
Yeah, and they're going to push for more in both mid and bot side here. Froggen jumped in, but nope.
And it forces the Zonias, though, on an almost magic resistless Nidalee. Mike Young now forced away pretty heavily, despite being 4-1-4. Gate gonna kite back, and Echo Fox may have started to learn what you need to do when you have a Baron buff. That was one of their weaknesses back in Sunday. They couldn't close the game despite that buff, and here they picked up, what, 3 turrets straight in the first 2 minutes.
Yeah, don't know how much they practiced those Baron steals, though, but that one from Acadian fell into his lap. He played it incredibly well, and now they have control of the game again off of that play.
Absolutely incredible stuff right now, and the reset's going to come in still with a minute left in the Baron buff to cash in, and now, if the previous sieges went well, imagine with an extra couple thousand gold in inventory, Phoenix 1 looking to push down mid real quick. But the recall's coming in, and with the home guard boost, Echo Fox are here soon.
Yeah, Froggen over the wall, looking for a root.
Knock up onto the tank in the front line, a double taunt as well from Shen, but they are not dying anytime rapidly. Keith, though, free fire from the back line, one more chance for the knock-up and comes in, but now it's going to be Froggen stunned up and attack.
Oh,
and
he's not dead yet.
Just enough to keep him alive, and he cuts away with it, and Keith gets a kill onto a special. The shields were just enough for Froggen. They're able to kite back now, and that's despite the Infernals. They're able to get the damage output through, and Phoenix 1 now forced to run away.
There's a TP from Froggen off on the right side. He wants to continue this fight and pick up more.
He's healed back up. They can absolutely do it. It's a 5v4, and there's no cooldowns left for Phoenix 1. Can he get the damage? Ryu is going to fall with the chains. It took 2, but he fell. And now it's up to Akita to get a little bit more. Going to lay in the Q, going to go for the play. Not going to actually follow through on that one just yet.
Yeah, a little afraid of Arrow walking up there. But man, Echo Fox now back in the lead. Have themselves a bit of that advantage. Baron falling off quite soon, though. Acadian just has a little bit of that remnants there because the mastery.
And despite these kills being 7-11, Phoenix 1 have to take a big gulp right now and realize they have given away so much of their early lead. Looking now at the mid lane again. Ryu is still dead. The primary tank is gone. In the 5v4, Baron buff is timing out. It's a little bit left onto, I believe, well, now no one as they run away.
Yeah. Acadian just had it because the mastery in the middle tree give you a little bit more duration on it. But right now, Looper was pushing top lane, and they're looking for that top tier 2 turret. Positioning between it, Zig kind of hanging around.
And you saw him go back and forth. He was going up there. He knew they could be waiting in those wings, and he was right about that one. Gets away from the Shane, doesn't lose too much. Now, top lane, inside track for Echo Fox. They should take this one down. That Baron power play, 4 turrets, 8,000 gold. Here comes the attempt, though. Zig into the back line. Can they get what they need? The Naka going to come across only onto the tank in the front line. Shen going to stay alive. A big charm, big Naka coming through for Gate to buy some time. And here's Ryu taking damage in the front. A nice kickback. They will not quite pick up Gate as Keith kites away as well. Look at the damage up and available from Arrow. Going to look for a couple more attacks. Indicating going to lose Guardian Angel. Ryu taunts up at the front. Out goes Keith. Looks for the root. Can't find it with the Featherstorm. Root. Another root's going to land. There's going to be the champ. And Mike Young picks him off. 2 for 0 so far. Make it 3 as Arrow knocks one down. And Echo Fox are completely routed. Only these solo laners left alive.
Yeah, and they're trying to back here instead of go for a run around. And I think Looper, he's just going to continue running, whereas Froggen going to go for the full back there. P1 are just taking these fights, and it's so hard to drop these members, and once they get one person down on Echo Fox who don't have as much defense, they get to start running them down.
Stoneplate coming in for the front line. Kled and Galio both looking at that item next. And this turret likely to be taking a whole chunk of damage. And that one's going to fall. Phoenix One getting the lead back for themselves after a good team fight.
Adaptive Helm comes through for Looper.
For what?
I don't think it's particularly good here at all.
It's
so.
not good for literally anything.
Yeah.
This is a straight up misbuy by Looper.
Yeah, because it says magic damage. So even if it's an ability, like a W from Kled, it has to be magic damage. Anyway, Ryu gets in here. Gate tries his best to charm everybody up, but Arrow goes for the QSS immediately. And even though Gate has that Zeke's convergence on him, trying to slow everybody around, it's still not enough. They don't have the damage. You can see Acadian just gets destroyed there. And we're kind of waiting on a little bit more in terms of damage output to take Ryu out, or maybe somebody in that front line from Echo Fox. But that just may not happen. They have two people who are very beefy with, like you said, two Gargoyle Stone Plates coming through quite shortly. And they are completed for both Ryu and Zig. It becomes kind of a nightmare for Fox to try and navigate these fights.
You saw the potential damage that Keith could have had. And imagine if Especially didn't have that unbreakable shield up. And if Featherstorm did even more, then it could have been a slightly different fight. Keith certainly has been getting better this split.
Yeah. And there's a Zeke's convergence behind him as well, so he is getting bonus damage after Gate uses his ultimate.
Yep.
So he's throwing out a lot in these fights, and he's staying alive a very long time, as you could see.
Yeah.
But it's just the issue of they need to get even more off, and they need to have somebody like Froggen have access to that backline. Because he wasn't threatening Arrow for most of that fight, I would say. If at all.
No, Arrow's been pretty unthreatened. His front line is way too beefy. He's got basically 4 melee champs in front of him.
Yeah, big special.
Half duty.
Now with the Locket, also the Knight's Vow onto Arrow. It's going to be very hard to kill pretty much anybody on Phoenix One's side. And Phoenix One, they're probably just going to start running around the map as 5 members, grouping all the time against this 1-3-1 because they're so good when they're all around each other.
If that's the case, they're on a bit of a time where Luca pushing down to the bot lane. He doesn't have defensive wards. There are no Echo Fox wards in that eastern jungle to keep Looper safe. He doesn't know if he's getting jumped on or not. He uses Trinket for 1. And now with the blue buff up, he knows there's going to be some threat there on that side of the map. He'll look to chunk that one down. And he's going to be safe to do this, actually. Right now, Phoenix One not looking to stop that just yet.
Side lane control is the name of the game right now for Phoenix One. Elder Dragon's coming up, and so is Baron on the field. So you definitely have to control your mid and your side lanes as much as you can here. Mid is the most important, but then it's always whichever objective you're really going for. And push that side lane in a little bit harder. Want to.
Little chunk out from Froggen, jukes away, Keith only takes damage, no root on this one, and Zig not going to find an opponent, but Acadian getting chunked, a miss from Arrow. That could have been a kill. Acadian's going to drop anyway. Arrow just has the damage. He moves so fast with the crits in, and now the chase back. Can they find Froggen? Can they find a kill? The crits coming in, and Keith down below 1,000 HP, but with Acadian missing, there is no smite steal to be had. This Baron may very well go to Phoenix One.
Yeah, how do you make sure that doesn't happen again? Get the jungler killed. Arrow had so much movement speed, was able to run after him, get that crit. TP to mid lane, though, from...
It's going to be a trade of an Elder Dragon.
For Elder. They don't have very many there. And Zig is actually TPing out alongside Ryu. They're going to 2-man contest.
All right, 4 versus 2. The Soul Laners showing up for this one. They're durable. They can buy some time for sure. And again, there is no smite. And here comes Expected. This could not be a better fight for Phoenix One. You think it might go in for them. A nice chain, a nice set of roots as well, but it's not really enough. They're just too durable. No one is taking meaningful damage on this one, and Looper is slowed and running and trying to get away. Ran to his own to keep his health bar from getting away from them as they're going to push for more. And godlike now Arrow, the defending MVP, finally having himself a couple of good games. And when does Phoenix One look for maybe their first match win as they look to battle against the 3-3 Echo Fox. Thanks for the leash, Echo Fox. Now Elder Dragon taking the damage. Hayden is alive, but he's far away on the side of the map.
Yeah, not going to be able to pick this up, and this is going to be huge for Phoenix One. Triple Infernal. Arrow has 798 attack damage.
It's a lot.
Even at 71 AP, it's like, where is that coming from? Just the Baron buff natural talent.
I actually want to pose that potentially Inferno Dragon is less good than you think on Jhin because he has other percent AD modifiers that might stack additively. I don't know if that's true. I'd have to check, and I'm sure someone actually knows. But it might not multiply his actual passive. Either way, he has a lot of attack damage. Who cares? He's a big boy, and Phoenix One looking to close his game out right now. Diving in with Looper still dead for 6 more seconds. Looking for Arrow. This turret is very much alone. They're not going to find Arrow just yet on this one. That turret is gone. It is turned into rubble, and the fight continues. 2 minutes on the Baron buff. Looper alive, 5v5, but they couldn't get more powerful here, Phoenix 1. Looking to close it out right now. Under 44 minutes. And the minions get thinned out, and they're going to wait a little bit longer.
Looks like they're pinging the top side of the map. They're going to rotate up there as a cluster. Make sure that nobody gets caught out. You can see Arrow is actually in the front as they're running up there. As they see LeBlanc on the bottom side. No, there's no threat to be flanked on that side. So all their tanks are kind of bringing up the rear.
Let's see what comes in next for this one. Can they find a flank? Can the backline die? It doesn't seem likely right now, but something that Echo Fox need because this death fall is too scary to lose a siege. Braga needs to find a flank play. They need to get some burst damage out from Keith, and it's not been happening so far. Turret under fire, big chunks of damage are gone. 3 more auto attack that's likely to drop a little bit of a root onto Ryu, and it doesn't matter. He's just too tanky on this Galio. Forward in the front line for Mike Young, for Arrow, for the rest of that team to make it happen. Double inhibitor down. No scratches on the Echo Fox for the Phoenix 1 paint.
Yeah, Zig, yeah, a little bit chunk, but it doesn't really matter. They're just going to bear him back. They have the Elder Dragon for a little bit longer. It's 3/4 done. So that'll be about the time they run across the map. But Phoenix 1 are just looking completely in the driver's seat. Like you said, even if they get to 6 item point for Echo Fox, you're still dealing with a triple Infernal Dragon Phoenix 1. So they're kind of cheating. They have even more items than they normally would because of the extra fact that they would have that AD on top of it too. So you're getting a lot out of these Drakes.
Yeah, they're big boys right here under this one. Time's going to tick down. 30 seconds left on the Baron buff. The Elder Dragon, not much more, and you can see the glimmer of hope for Echo Fox right there. That Baron steal was an 8,000 gold Baron power play. I'd be willing to bet their best Baron of the split so far. They haven't had very many good ones, but it slipped away right afterwards. The team fight prowess is too good for Phoenix 1. Ryu in the front lines. Those 14 assists, the full tank Galio. Thornmail in there as well, just to make it even more annoying. And Arrow, unkilled in the backline, able to just follow up on the tanks, follow up on the engage. Mike Young having another good game out of the jungle. Great farm, good kills, lots of damage. The full AP Nidalee.
Yeah. And this comp is going to be so hard to deal with from Phoenix 1. We talked about it all game. Death Stance for Arrow. Now we have double Gargoyle, Stone Plate plus Locket.
Look for
We'll
the
see if
play.
they go for it. Arrow gets out.
Up on the one. Yeah, exactly. Doesn't find Arrow, who's able to get out of that one. No kills to be had, and that's the major engage tool's gone. The root is in. Keith forced to run away. Zig in the front lines, and he is so much more than just durable. Galio dives in heroically, and he has entered the fight. A 3-man taunt after a flash as well, and Keith forced to run, but Zig is on the chase. Shen might help, and he is going to stay alive a bit longer. But it's not going to keep his teammates alive for much as Looper's forced to run the knockup for Ryu. The damage up, but not quite there as Looper stays alive, but it's still a 4v4. The crit is 966 damage. The fight comes through for the shutdown. His 9th kill of the game. All of half of them are onto Arrow, and in fact, no kills have come from Phoenix 1 that were not touched by Arrow in some way. He has signaled death for Echo Fox in game 1 as the Nexus falls, and Phoenix 1 may find themselves their first match win.
After bringing in Nick Special and Mike Young, this team definitely looks a lot better in that early and mid-game. And that draft was just really dirty. The way that they were flexing the Galio around, and then they picked up the Jhin for Arrow and said, hey, it's back in the meta. We know you have a really good Jhin. And it paid off. This might be the formula for them. Mike Young is a jungler that they're able to protect in the early game, doesn't fall prey to invades. They gave him the leash. The bottom lane didn't actually lose anything for it, but on the other side, Echo Fox lost off of that little cheese they tried at the very beginning with the experienced Quint and also the leash.
Yeah, he got a couple of small raptors out of the attempted invade.
Yeah.
Mike Young actually just too fast in his jungle clear.
Because it could have been a kill. It could have been a first blood.
Sure.
If Mike Young had played it differently and played too far up to the
If
top
it was
side
too
of it
slow.
and looked like he was going to route from his red to Krugs instead of red to Raptors.
Yeah, not the way it went, though. It was a nice game out of Phoenix 1. They took the win, so now we're going to throw it over to our analysts to get their thoughts on that Phoenix 1 win.
Thank you very much, Freak. Phoenix 1 find a victory here in game 1 of the series. Of course, it almost slipped away from there with that Baron steal by Acadian and the massive 8K gold swing. So not exactly how you'd want the victory to be coming, but the W, the W does fall in the column for Phoenix 1. And of course, as you mentioned, the hearts are now pumping. They're fully awake and alive in this series. We'll see if they can return it here in game 2, perhaps a little bit cleaner to snag their first match win of the split. But when it comes to that winless Phoenix 1, I want to pull up the statistics we showed going into the matchup here. Weeks 1 and 2 as compared to week 3 when they've picked up Mike Young and added a special to the roster. And although they didn't get the wins last week, you can even just see here in the goal differential stats that there was marked improvement for this Phoenix 1 squad.
Yeah, Mike Young was definitely a very good pickup. It surprised a lot of people, actually. He has a surprising amount of experience and knowledge for someone so young, right?
Right.
Been playing in Challenger since he was 13. Everybody from Phoenix One and coming out of that organization has talked about, how vocal this guy is, how important he is in setting up the plays, not only for himself, but for all of his teammates as well. And then the fact that they have also now added Xpecial in one of the most veteran players still playing the game, played it even before the LCS existed in a competitive setting. They've completely retooled basically this lineup.
Right, and from the outside looking in, it looks like it's made massive changes to the success of the roster already. Now, if we look at Champion Select and the comps that fell around these kind of new players, the Nidalee pick for Mike Young is something that he's jumped towards a couple times already, and to a degree has found some success in terms of being able to at least keep himself up to speed with the other junglers. Do you feel like Nidalee, though, is somewhat of a crutch in terms of having the option of hard farming and or getting into lanes, that a young player, it's been aiding him in his debuts on the stage?
Yeah, Nidalee to me right now is a viable jungler, which is definitely something to be said.
Right.
She's not on the same tier as like Elise and Zach and Lee Sin, but is kind of in that next tier of, okay, it's not, supreme, but she's viable, right?
Right.
It's not like, oh yeah, we're gonna build our team comp around Nidalee and the spear throwing anymore.
I guess maybe that's what I mean. Is let me refine what I'm saying here. Is that it feels like the pick in some way is a crutch for Mike Young, where he can be supportive, right? He can sit there and heal his teammates up, throw the spears without ever having to necessarily commit to anything and be the playmaker for the team. And as a rookie, that probably takes a lot of stress off of your shoulders if you're not the one who has to make the sweet flash engage, like on a Zach, for example, or any other of the the Elises and whatnot.
It could be. I definitely did enjoy watching him on Lee Sin and making big flashy plays. So I hope that we do see him on more picks like that. But yeah, I think the Nidalee's fine.
Either way, Phoenix One looking a lot better as a team, while Echo Fox is still very clearly trying to play through Frog. And I mean, we saw a massive CS lead built for him in the mid lane on the back end of the initial gank from Acadian to kind of jack the kill with the Lee Sin ultimate.
And use his ultimate. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are having this criticism like, Echo Fox, it's again the Froggen show. And it's hard because you're faced with this scenario where, but can you really blame them for playing around Froggen?
If it works, it works.
He's getting an advantage almost every single game. He's got this giant CS lead against Ryu. He's bullying him under the turret to the point that Acadian can just come up, land one Q, and then throw his ultimate out there as well and grab the kill. But Froggen is the guy consistently building up pressure for this team. And something I did want to bring up that we were talking about was that pull that they gave him. Right? You were like, oh my God, we just saw this in the last game where Dardak went for the experienced Quint and early, play up topside.
Right.
That's at their bottom lane behind a bunch of experience. Then the, Acadian and Lee Sin didn't get anything out of, putting so much effort into that early path. And then you have a Shen on the top side anyway, so it's not really a, split push style victory up there.
Right, exactly. It is. It does seem like a one-dimensional squad that is improving in their single dimension, but I've yet to see new looks out of Echo Fox, and to some degree, I feel like that's where we see them fall apart in this game, is that if Froggen isn't the impetus of every fight and the one to solo carry the fights, then they are going to largely lose the straight-up 5v5s. We saw that 19 minutes in, a 4-for-0 for Phoenix One in the river off of an Echo Fox overreach.
And this is the other thing that we definitely want to point out for Echo Fox. Yes, team fighting is largely compositional in nature, but it's also the execution of these team fights, right? And it goes beyond just the champions that they drafted early on and how strong they are for the 5-on-5s. The positioning for these team fights and the execution leaves quite a bit to be desired. And Phoenix One come out with a tremendous victory here. Keith actually flashes forward into this, and then you kind of have these delayed engages, right? Looper then flashes a little bit later as the Shen following the Xayah, and then your backline has to run, and everybody's kind of scrambling at that point. So the coordination is definitely something that this team probably has very high on their list for what they're practicing with, because there are multiple scenarios where sometimes we even see a Shen ultimate start to be channeled on someone who's just about to exit a fight rather than proactive and forward and everyone on the same page.
And that team fight there was the beginnings of an 8K gold lead that would eventually be thrown back, as we mentioned, off the back end of the Baron steal. But even with that, it was very clear that, again, with the Infernal Drakes in the back pocket, that Phoenix One, all they needed to do was extend themselves to that late game 5-on-5, full 6-item team fights where compositionally they do end up with the better team comp. I mean, on top of that, you got your player of the game, Arrow here, Deathless. Of course, you're set up for a lot more success with his positioning and ability to throw out damage over 700 AD at the end of that game.
Definitely looks good, you know, comfortable with Xpecial. They were playing solo queue, if you watch Arrow stream at all, for a tremendous amount of time. So even though Xpecial just joined the team and they haven't had much practice with him, and they've talked about, you know, not even getting that many scrims, it does feel like they're working together quite well already.
I mean, we heard Phoenix One management say that they feel that Arrow was deserving of his MVP votes from Spring Split, but that they were charged with now the responsibility of building a team around him that let him play to that potential, that MVP potential. And it looks like already warming into that duo in the bot lane alongside Xpecial, they very well might start making that rise back through the standings. Of course, they got to win one more game just
Nowhere
to
to
come
go
away
but up.
with their first match victory. We'll see if Phoenix One can do it, extend us to a 2-0 in their first match win of the split, or if Echo Fox can fight back in round 2. The series continues after the break.
Back Lando going to be in the mid lane right there. He's gone. Doesn't even need the back half of the queue. Acadian kicks to take all the credit for Froggen's hard work. Tight back, the flash forward. Keith running out of health, and he dives in, and he dives for free. Keith gives it away, and a second one as well as Looper falls.
Coming. Right here. LeBlanc. I got LeBlanc.
I'm on Shen.
All right, let's go Shen. I'm healing you. You're fine. You're fine.
bad.
Thank you.
Okay, go now. I got shit, good shit. Jin. Oh, get out, just get out.
It's going to be Froggen stunned up and attacked.
Oh,
and
he's not dead yet.
just enough to keep him alive, and he cuts away with it. And Keith gets a kill onto Xpecial. Elio dives in heroically, and he has entered the fight. A 3-man taunt after a flash as well, and Keith forced to run, but Zig is on the chase as the Nexus falls, and Phoenix One may find themselves their first match win.